Welcome to another episode of Life Without Purse. Today, our special guest, mentor, developer, and speaker, Jay Dhahan. He's helping professionals achieve greatness through becoming fearless and truly uncaging their roar. He's a real estate mogul managing over $5 million portfolio and has transacted millions in his 20s. Jay has a passion to educate people, especially youngsters, on creating wealth in all aspects of life, and is doing so by leading the NextGen Movement. Jay, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, that's going to be like a lesson masterclass for me from Jay Dhahan, Mr. Jay Dhahan, because I'm still in my 20s, almost 30, in a week. So, but I really appreciate you. It was awesome meeting you in Miami. Look forward to the next one in Las Vegas this year. But, without any further ado, Jay, who are you and what you do? Because you have just so much to really convey to the world, and especially the people that are becoming the leaders and people who are taking over with the new technology and everything that's being, disrupted from finances, biology, AI, and, I could just go on.
Absolutely. It's this good old question that we're always asked, right? Like, who are you and what you do? And I think it really comes down to, and I thank you, appreciate the amazing bio coming in as well too. But, among all those things, what it really comes down to is really figuring out who you are. And that's what my true passion is. And what I like to focus on is to really help people really achieve greatness. We all want to achieve greatness in the world, but what stops us from that? And that's really the fear of the unknown, the fear of not knowing if it's good enough. And I think that's why it's been my primary focus over the last decade, really researching neurology, neuroscience, neuro-linguistic programming, a lot of psychology to understand the human mind and the way that we actually create behavior and the actions that we take. But just to give you a little, a little rough background on myself, over the last, 10 years, I'm born and raised in Canada. And, I moved out here to the States now to live here because I love this place. But, in the last 10 years, I've been a commercial real estate developer. That was kind of my primary way. I like to call it my engine, the way that I make money. So I'm a commercial developer and investor. We do everything from, land acquisition, full scale developments, leasing, as well as managing properties until we, work with our investors to offload. But that gave me the capital to go out there and actually pursue different things that we'll probably talk about today in terms of personal development, mentors and coaches, and being able to really immerse myself with the right types of knowledge that help guide me along the way to really being able to scale myself, my portfolios, but also be able to have now this passion and willingness to go back and help others and teach them these core principles to achieve wealth in life.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And you mentioned about neuro-performance. Is that you coined it?
Yeah, that is in the process right now of being coined. So neuro-performance is just my version of using different types of psychological techniques, using hypnosis, using other types of forms of psychology to really mind map the actual action steps. So neuro becomes the brain, and it's the thoughts that we have every single day, the tens of thousands of thoughts that us humans have every day, and the critical decision making that we need in order to be logical versus emotional. Now the performance becomes the actionables. What is it that I actually need to do, and how do I hold accountability to myself to maintaining that? So together as neuro-performance, the strategy plus the actionable creates the desired outcome.
Could you give us an example of maybe someone from the NextGen Movement? I know Gus, the superstar youngster that you guys are working together, and maybe you can sort of graphically explain how you actually apply it in like day-to-day operations.
Yeah. When it comes to the neuro-performance side, every human is very different. And that's why I do a lot of one-on-ones as well as, just actual event style where you get to see me in person, because the traditional style group coaching doesn't really work with this flow, because neuro-performance is really, understanding exactly where that person's at and the day-to-day troubles that they're going through. Now, an example of this is that out of the common 7 emotions that we feel as humans, 6 are negative. Can you believe that, Marcin? 6 are negative. 1 is positive. Joy is the only positive emotion humans feel. So when you have fear and you have anger, you got sadness, you got contempt, you got disgust, and you have surprise, you have the 6 other ones that are always against us. And they cause adversities, they cause negativities, they cause things in our world that slow us down. So being able to use neuro-performance strategies allows you to be able to go into your subconscious mind and understand what position you are at with that given emotion. Now, I'll give you a quick story or an example. Is let's just say you're feeling angry. Your language will sound something like, I am angry. You'll use that word track. But in a different state of mind, which is what I call the pyramid of thought, is the second level to it is I am having a thought that I'm angry. And if you're able to disassociate yourself and get to the third level, that means I believe I'm having a thought that I'm angry. So what does this all mean? What does this mean for you? How can you take this away? And let me add value right at the first and foremost of this call by giving you guys something right here. Just picture yourself driving down the freeway. You're driving down, you're in the fast lane, you're going, and some guy comes speeding past you, cuts you off, and you almost fly off the road. Now you're angry. Well, let's bring that anger again back. You're angry. You're like, oh my God, you're swearing, you're blaring, you're saying these kind of things. So in level one thinking, you're in the driver's seat. That's you in that conscious mode right now. I am angry. Now the level two version of you, that level version of you is sitting in the passenger seat. And that person is looking over at you going like, well, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to crash into him? Are we going to call the police? Like we're safe. We're okay. We got to get going. Like, and what happens is our brains actually go between 1 and 2 all day. It's almost like the devil and angel on your shoulders, like we like, so to speak.
That's right.
But the magic is when you get into the back seat and you get to put your arms up like this. And you say, look at Tweedledee trying to explain to Tweedledum that we're angry right now. And what happens now is that this neuro-performance strategy allows you to actually maintain and keep track of those emotions. When you feel angry or you're feeling upset, what level am I thinking from? Am I in level 1 in the moment? Am I in level 2 trying to mitigate it? Or am I in level 3 understanding that it's time to actually think more clearly, especially when it comes to critical decision making?
Okay, awesome. So I see that you mentioned disassociate yourself from being there. That's and do you see that being applied to the youngsters? Because you work and you focus a lot on the younger generation because they don't know how to control, the emotions. And maybe another part of the question will be, people as we get older, do we actually get a handle on that, or we still need help?
I think we need a little bit more help when we're adults because we've conditioned ourselves over time with some of the stuff that we've gone through in our younger years. And that's why, a big passion project of mine is the NextGen Movement and the NextGen Academy, because it's allowing young people to really start to learn the types of skill sets, the core essential skills that I feel are heavily needed in this generation. In an everlasting changing, everyone's on cell phones and they're very technologically advanced, but they're losing out on this. They're losing out on the ability to actually communicate with people and to really share those feelings. So when I mentor my youngsters, and yeah, you mentioned Gus, he's my right-hand champion. He's like my protege, basically. And he's been working with me for about a year now. And what I've started to understand with that generation, and for those of you out there that are watching this, that have teenagers or work alongside teenagers, is they're very quick. They're very fast-paced. They can actually accomplish a lot if directed the right way. But what their generation is missing right now the most is leadership. So I've made it a mission and calling for myself to go there and be the leadership to help these youngsters learn the communication, learn the right essential skills so that they can actually become successful in this world, not just what the medias and the social medias are telling them how to be successful.
Right. And Jay, you mentioned about your background in real estate development, and you mentioned that this is your engine, but you're moving into leadership. And looking at your stuff, you're very passionate about making a change. And the way I look at you, it's just not, I just want to be another influencer. You just want to actually make a change. And I know, because I'm working with the guys when we were preparing for the show, you're right. Like, he's very quick and great energy. And I see that the way you train him as well. It's just the communication is awesome, always positive, super, super quick and professional. So going back to the real estate, how do you use it do you sort of commingle that with this side of you?
Yeah, it'll always be commingled. First of all, I would never let go of real estate because that is my bread and butter, but it's also where I'm the most articulate. It's where I'm the most knowledgeable. Right. So real estate, especially in the commercial development and investment world. So that's always going to be a portion of it. I'm taking the basic knowledge of that. And yes, of course, bringing it to the next generation so that they can learn. But I'm also in the world of, helping cities become cities. So when I was first originally starting up in Canada, we were working with a small municipality outside of a bigger city where we got to work with the mayor, with the city council, the planning departments, the economic developments, and we were actually mapping out how that small city would grow to a large city. Now it's about 75,000 people. So I made the big, bold move of moving from Canada all the way to the States. And now I want to do the same thing with Tampa, Florida. Tampa, Florida, I feel is one of the markets right now that is not only just blowing up because of just the understanding of the pricing and everything, the population growth, but it's just an amazing place to live. So I want to be involved more in the real estate game here to raise capital to be able to start development projects here. But that is a bit more of a longer term path for me. Right now, it's more so focused on the actual education and fundamentals that I can bring this generation. And my signature program right now, Uncage Your Roar, is really my main focus at this point right now, because it's this world, especially after going through a pandemic, especially after markets going up and down, especially after people just feeling much more disconnected. I truly believe that every human has a story, a message to share, something that actually a burning desire inside. But how do you get it out? You have to become fearless. That's the way. So becoming fearless using Neuro-performance and being able to really take on the Tony Robbins style approach with the Grant style marketing is really kind of what I want to bring the American people.
Yeah, I see that you're doing sort of a mix. And I don't know if I like to compare taking grants, Tonys or, NLPs and all of that, but you actually should learn from everybody. How do you see, coaches comparing to real business people that don't even show themselves? Because there's a lot of successful people. I'm not saying they're successful in every area of their life, because sometimes from the coaches and everything, I see that they kind of paint this picture that you can actually be successful everywhere, and family. No, you don't need to sacrifice. You can just be successful everywhere. So do you actually believe that you can be successful across the board if you really want to, or you have to sacrifice?
My thing is that you have to, again, figure out your intention, right? For my intention is that I want to live my life with abundance, freedom, and wealth. The abundance is the ability to have opportunity come to me and always being grateful of where I'm at, but an abundance amount of opportunity and experience. Freedom is the ability to do whatever, whenever, however, with whoever. And then wealth. Wealth is my big key word in this, because most people associate wealth with just money. They think money is the solution. And, for many, many years growing up, I thought money was everything until I started accumulating money. And then quickly I realized it has nothing to do with money. It's actually time that's more valuable, because you can never buy back a minute. But then what happens when you're in your mid-20s, you have money and you have time? What's next? And you start to understand it's actually people. People are everything. So with wealth is an accumulation of the right relationships, the love, the loyalty, the respect, the energy, the environment. And yes, of course, the dollar figures in your account so that you can live the way that you want to live.
That's right. And so what do you think about the greedy ones? They're like, they're going to exploit everyone and everything. And they will burn the bridges. Like, hey, we're going for the money, just for the numbers.
There's a lot of people out there in terms of the hater style. It's like haters are going to hate when you're doing great. I always say that. But on the other side of it is that, there are people that are going to go out there for that. Their intention is money and they want to go for money, and that's good. And I'll tell you right now, you can probably do that too. If you want to accumulate money, you can only go for money. The only thing that I'll tell you is that you will accumulate it over a period of time with hard work and dedication. But the one thing that you will be left empty with is the true fulfillment of the purpose of why you actually exist. See, most billionaires out there will actually attest to this, because yes, they have the billions in the account, but like you said, other aspects of their life aren't fully whole and complete, which means, are you really living fulfilled to that degree? So having a lifestyle of, I work 18-hour days. I'm up at 4 a.m. and I start my days at 5 a.m. work days, and I go all the way till 9 p.m. And for me, it's not work when it's like that. For me, it's my lifestyle. Yes, I can take a break if I need to go for lunch. I have my teams locked and loaded online. I have different things going on, but it's just my lifestyle. I get to control my lifestyle, and that allows me to actually mix work together. I'm not a fan of work-life balance. I don't believe in it. I feel that if you can truly understand the way that you find true happiness and passion, you'll make time for all the things in your life, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's social life, whether it's your work, business, whatever it may be. We're all given the same 24 hours, 1,440 minutes, and 86,400 seconds in each and every day. It's just a matter of what we do with it.
It's just a matter of intention and decision, and and people make bad decisions, and then that's what happens, that some of the areas don't work. So but that leads me to another point in terms of personal development, which I think, I don't know, most of the people, they read about it, or we all want to improve. I certainly have, but over time, and maybe I'll change my mind again, over time, what I've realized, Jay, is that in the personal development is it's the work that you put in, the sweat. Obviously, you need to measure that. You need to have, results. But you can boil it down to very simple metrics and measure that. And you don't really need to be like people they complicate it so much. They write 700 books about it, millions, tons of books about it. But where are the results?
Exactly.
So maybe you can expand on that point, and also
absolutely
use it. Use it around the wealthiest people, and how they actually deal with personal development and improvement.
Yeah, so personal development is interesting because it's being thrown around a lot. It's just a different way of saying education, right? Because you can learn from anybody. You can learn from everything, right? The only difference now is that with personal development, and take it from somebody has made millions in my life, but also spent millions on personal development. I truly believe the key to my success was mentorship and guidance. Straight up. There's no other thing to say about that. Because finding the right mentors, finding the right coaches out there can expedite your journey completely, especially if they're in a position. And that's why I always recommend is if you're looking for a coach or a mentor out there, look for somebody that's in a position of something that you want to achieve or be like. There's a lot of coaches out there that are just either they have programs, they have courses. It's not to disregard or discredit anybody. But at the end of the day, a lot of people out there just trying to get a course sold. They're not actually thinking about the intention of how they can actually truly help someone. So really go out there and find that personal development. Yes, always be in tune with learning more. I always say that at the end of the day, everyone is still a teacher and everyone is also a learner, a student. So it's just a matter of now being able to use your language the right way. And the key to it all when it comes to personal development, I'll give you the key right here, is ask the right questions. If you can ask the right questions, you will get the answers, or you'll be positioned in a place to get those answers. And that itself will move you forward.
Any specific questions in terms of sales or communication, or depends on the context?
It really depends, but I would say just get intentional about it. Most people don't get intentional with their questions. They don't really know what they're asking. They may be thinking of it from a face value versus actually going a little bit deeper internally and knowing what is the result that I want to actually achieve. This is something that's very hard when it comes to people in business in terms of what their product offering is or what their slogan is. These kind of things are very, very important for somebody in a quick glance to understand. Now, when I say, what I help people do is I help them achieve greatness through becoming fearless. You can clearly understand that I do want to achieve greatness. And the only way to do that in this model would be to become fearless so that you can walk around with confidence, so that you can articulate your language, so you can actually go and uncage your roar. Because that's where the uncage your roar.
What's it mean? Because some people may think that, being fearless means, I can jump off a cliff. And I can go and find maybe 5 thugs and I can challenge them, But
so what it is, it's uncaging your roar. So what fearless means is in our world is uncaging your roar, because I feel that we are all lions and lionesses. We are out there on the prowl. We're ready to go. We actually want to go out and share our story, share our message, and roar to the world. But what we do is subconsciously we cage our lion. We open up the cage, we put the lion in, we shut it, and we start locking it with certain things like mental limiting beliefs and certain things that we are going to hold our lion back. And what happens is once you start to learn how to go through those mental traumas, those mental limiting beliefs and work through them, you get to remove those locks. You get to open up that cage again. You get to uncage that lion to come out, to stretch out a bit, and then to actually roar, which is the actual message and story that you have to give to the world. Because I truly believe that every person can help one more person. And if we all did that, the world would be a much better place.
Totally, absolutely. And how do you actually work with people, like some, you know, when you work with youngsters, or when you take someone and you coach them or mentor them? What's it look like? What's the process?
My mentorship and coaching is very private, so it is very one-on-one. So I've kind of stayed away from the whole group style coaching and all that, you know, on kind of the online course. I do provide a free course for somebody that just wants to learn, but it's very immersive one-on-one, because the way that I like to actually understand my client is to get inside their head. That's the only way that I'm going to really be able to know the types of limiting beliefs, just by the language. You know, I was in a call with one of my clients last week, and he just said something in a way. He was talking about his experience with this brokerage that he was dealing with, but he said it, I can't remember the exact word track that he used, but the way he said it, I saw him on the call, and I was like, stop right there. You don't believe that, do you? And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, what you just said, you actually don't believe. Like, that's not actually what you believe. You don't actually believe that it was a good meeting. It was actually, there was something else that happened. And he looked at me, he's like, how did you know that? And it was crazy. He's like, how are you in my head right now? So it's like, that's where body language and the skill sets that I've learned from some of the best in the world have given me that understanding of how people actually say things, what their body actually does, but then what their original intentional thought is. So working with people one-on-one is my primary. And then on a secondary side of things, we do immersive events where we do uncage your roar events. The next one's coming up end of March. So I'll make sure you're there as well too. We got to get you uncaging your roar more. And what's so amazing about these events is that these events are immersive, but they're also very unique. It's not just a seminar-like state. It's not just coming and working in a workbook. I want them to feel the lioness. We have we do beach adventures. We're going to do yacht events. We're going to have nice little, nightlife. We're going to do spa treatments. We're going to do things where you get to have a vacation, but at the same time, you're also being able to immerse yourself with education and a great like-minded network.
Wow, awesome. I mean, and I can definitely sense that you're so passionate, and that's, because you mentioned you have an engine. It's not that this is the only thing that you focus on, and the engine that fires you, and you've got, it's the real estate. But then you have this side, and I think this is kind
of
like
my passion.
Yeah, your and then your mission in a way. Like, so what's maybe let's go back to why is it so powerful for you, or in you? Why is that sort of intention or feeling, or the desire to lead, to work with, you just mentioned cities, or learn from other culture. Why is it so important? Like, why not just become a business guy and maybe stay like behind, or just
I think it was just my actual experience. Like when I was a young kid, when I was 17 years old, I went from being bullied in junior high to then becoming prom king in high school. And then, dropping out of school, being a high school dropout, but then ending up in a jail cell. And then from a jail cell, I went to I need to make some new life decisions. And this is all within my teenage years. So incredible, startup to it. But then when I started kind of getting out there into the self-development world and saying, I got to educate myself in my own way. I might have not have gone to high school and, gone the whole degree path. But now what I want to do is I want to learn my way. And, I still remember the conference that I was at. It was my first mentor that I had. And I saw him on stage. And he was walking on stage and he was speaking, and he was Richard Dolan. And I saw him there, and I was like, one day, I wish I could speak like that on a stage. Because I was super fearful of public speaking. I was like, there's no way you're getting me out, putting my hand up in class. I was, just my previous traumas of being bullied. I just didn't want to ever be in the limelight. And that transition of me being able to find myself, find my inner power, find that real, because I knew I was always destined for greatness, but I never was willing to take those chances, take those steps, because it was scary.
How'd you know
that? I was fearful. Well, now I look back at that. At that time, I didn't know that. And that's where it was going through the rough patches and actually, falling multiple times and getting back up and having that perseverance. But I think actually, mentioning that, the perseverance of the willingness of never quitting really was just always instilled from my parents. That was just from my dad. He's a very hard worker. Since 2001, he started his business. He's taken 10 days off since 2001.
Wow. What's he
just
doing?
For my sister's wedding. It's an Indian grocery store, a small little Indian grocery store, but he's there every single day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, minus the 10 days for my sister's wedding. So he always taught me hard work and dedication. So that was initially there, which kept pushing me forward. Every time I failed, every time I lost an investment, I've spent, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars on business investments that have just gone completely under. And it was the emotional resilience at that time that I had to keep pushing through and say, you know what, it's okay. It's learning lessons. They're expensive learning lessons, but they're learning lessons, and keep pushing forward, keep pushing forward. And that got me to a point to really feeling that power. And that moment, it was about 5 years ago, about 6 years ago, where I just felt that inner power come out. And I was like, wow, it's time for me to actually show what I can do in this world. And from that moment on, I said, if I can do it, then that means everybody else can. So I made it a mission of mine to go out and help those now that have that voice, that have that message, that have that story that they want to share to the world.
You know, when I listen to you, like one part of me is saying, you know, oh, you should just be focusing on the business and not be actually, you know, going out there and shouting, because that's, you know, like the more you go into business, you know, you get, you know, sort of beat down. But on the other hand, we all need to like sort of fire each other, you know, and to just keep going. So that leads me to one of the last questions. You know, is that everything that you've been up to recently since I've met you, or is there anything on the sort of back end going on for you that you're most excited about?
What I'm most excited about is this event that's coming up, the Uncage Your Roar live event. And this live event is going to be homed here in Florida, either Tampa or Miami. And it's going to be an immersive experience for you to come out, to bring your family. If you have young teens at home, if you have a spouse that you want to bring out, and really be able to get the whole family on board. Get exactly what you said, Marcin, is so important, is that we got to hold each other accountable. We got to fire each other up once in a while. And doing that internally within your family and your inner circles is the most powerful thing. So that's been really my main focus. And overall, just continuously bringing in the movement, the energy, bringing a little bit of my Canadian energy to you Americans down here, and just being able to just connect with more and more people. Like I said, people are everything. So the more that I get to network and connect, that's why I'm always at events and going to seminars. And, you know, even if it's going to the bar or the grocery store, I'm always having the intention to put smiles on faces. Like I make this mission where every time I go to the airport, I got to put 10 smiles on 10 faces. And it just gives me a challenge, but it also gets me to go out there and put more positive energy in the world. So that's really what I'm up to right now.
So what's the link for the Uncage Your Roar event?
Yeah, so I prepared something special for all your audience members as well too. I'm going to give them a free course just so that they can learn a couple more tactics, some techniques, some tips and tricks when it comes to the mindset of how your brain thinks, but also the communication on how you can deliver. So it's uncageyourroar.com, and you'll receive a free copy of that.
Jay, I appreciate you. And then you're right, people. I mean, education, that's something that I took away, that it's not just the self-development, improvement, but before it was education, just people kind of defined it and diluted that. But people and education, those are the key takeaways for me from this sort of talk, and I'll see you in Las Vegas for sure.
Absolutely.
for the next event, and you know, keep going with business. I'm watching you on social media. I think you're upcoming superstar. You know, you're gonna uncage your biggest lion, you know, soon.
There we go.
Jay Dhahan was the guest on today's No Life Without Purse. Jay, appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you too.
Thank you.